Welcome to the Moulding Lives Show, where we tell the amazing stories of everyday people that are committed to building a better life for themselves and those around them, and in turn, build generational wealth. In this episode, we cover the importance of getting mentorship and setting a plan. Hi, everyone. So this week's episode of the Moulding Lives Show, I'm going to be doing myself, so no guest interviews or anything like that. And I thought I'll cover, as I said in previous episodes, part of the reason for doing this is almost to have a diary of how things are going and what's working, what's not working, and then use it as something like a journal. So in the last week, we released our ISO Evolve product, which I've been planning for quite some time now. But it was amazing to do the demo with a client and see it all kind of come together. And we signed another client on, which was even more amazing because then, the sales team could actually take that and do proper demos around it. But it's been a culmination of months of work and also months of putting a target in place to be able to do that. Towards the end of last year, I decided I wanted to move more away from the consulting services-based side of the business into more product-based focus. And there's always been the challenge, for us to do, because the consulting-based side of the business does bring a considerable amount of revenue. But we always knew that we wanted to go into, product development much more focused and to be around that aspect of the business. And once we did that, it's amazing how things kind of rally around that and just kind of happen. So I did that, coupled with changing the brand archetype to one of a magician. And we detailed that a little bit in another show that I do with Shaz called the Moulding Private Practice Show, where we discuss what the brand archetype of a magician is and what are the characteristics. But that kind of helped us a lot in terms of just making that change. And it's weird because, it's a single term, from nurturer to, magician, but it makes a massive difference in terms of how we started approaching products, how we started approaching marketing, our communication, how the team even views themselves and the products is amazing. And it's kind of showing with the sales calls that we've been doing, and shows in the webinars that we've been doing. And it definitely has almost opened our eyes to how that works. So it makes me feel pretty cool to be able to have made the change and then see the results. And I think that's an important aspect around this. Around the idea of product development, though, so on my first product, software product, that we took to market, which was the practice management software, I actually got assistance because I couldn't do everything. So we were trying to bring this product out into the market, and I knew I couldn't do the software development as well as do the business development and get sales and see whether this business is going to be viable or not. So I got a friend of mine, and it was a really good fit, and even to this day, it's a really good fit. But he concentrated on the product development, and I concentrated on the business development and just basically getting the business working. And that strategy worked really well. But with the second business, I always knew that I wanted to go back into development. And there's something magical about coming out with software products. And there's something magical about clients logging into your software and seeing that works. It still gives me goosebumps when I see that. And I even see support tickets, with our practice management software, because I physically don't have to do that, for clients, and I don't have to be right there like we do with our consulting services. And it's, I don't have to be in the same room as them, but they still find value in that, and they still, it still makes their lives different. And to be able to be the creator definitely makes me feel quite nice about that. And so with KITRIN, the products are new. I wanted to do more from my own perspective and build those out, from myself, for myself. But also knew that I needed help. So the reason I'm saying this is that sometimes you do need help, and you just have to figure out what that help is. For me, that was technical mentorship and and guidance around the architectural stuff, because there was lots of components, and I intentionally changed it from the first software product that we used in terms of some of the technologies, because there's much better technologies now that it's 8 years on, that I'm feeling a lot more comfortable to get into. But I needed to litmus test, whether some of those technologies made sense. So I got another friend of mine who I know for probably over 25 years now. I mean, we were in the USA together, and a really good friend of mine who we don't really keep in contact that much, but he's brilliant, from a software development and architecture point of view. And just getting him on board and getting him to oversee, some of the work that we're doing has been amazing, because it gives me that assurance that we're on the right path and we're doing the right things. I can see it from the software, obviously, because it works the way it's supposed to, and it doesn't crash and stuff like that. But there's more to this, and there's more to doing something. And sometimes you need someone that's been there and done that and can tell you sometimes, that you're actually being quite silly with this part. Maybe you should be doing this in a different way. So I'm really glad that I was able to secure that, and that's working, because that makes a huge difference. The other difference that the last few months has shown me is that you do need to set a target. And I mean, I come from a corporate background, so this is nothing new. And, but I always found that setting a target has almost been, something, it's a nice to have. It's like, if you don't get there, you don't get there. And if you do, that's okay. But for us, it was very intentional. By the 1st of August, we needed to get our product out. And come hell or high water, that was what was going to happen, because we had clients already waiting on the list to be able to sign up for the product. So it wasn't an optional date. It was, you had to get this done. And just by setting the date in mind, I found the entire team rallied around making sure that happened. Yes, there was a few hiccups, and there's always hiccups with anything you do. And yes, it was version 1, and there's always going to be further versions of anything that you do. But it's very, very nice to be able to see and log in to the software on the date that we said we're going to do that. And so that was actually really exciting, and it made me feel good in terms of being able to set the target and go on from there. So I think those were the two major lessons I learned in the last week, if not weeks. The other one was around having relationships with clients where they actually rally around you. And I think there's something to be said about having the right clients. And, we've been trying to be more intentional about this in terms of clients believing in the journey that we're on, clients believing in the software stack and the ecosystem that we're in. And but I've had to have two meetings with clients in the last week, and to explain to them some changes in direction to move away from the consulting-based model. And it's amazing that both of those meetings went really well. I didn't get any negative feedback from it. I didn't get any negative vibes from it. And that also made me feel good in terms of, maybe having the right relationships and saying things, and maybe being authentic and honest about some things, and also being honest to yourself, in terms of what value you can actually offer, make some of those decisions a little bit easier. Definitely been a lot better than earlier this year, when we were really struggling from a consulting services perspective and not being able to be on top of everything that we needed to. But making some of the strategic changes has definitely resulted in these meetings that I could have with these clients, and to say, here's where we are right now. We started the process at the beginning of the year, and then to execute on it and make sure that it went perfect. But even if it didn't, I would have still felt okay with the fact that I was being honest about it and did it in a way that we were. I worked with a seasoned consultant on the last contracting project, and that's what he firmly believed, and what I've always followed for a long time, which was just say what it is, and people will normally either get it or they don't. And but at least you know what your story is, and you know when you're being truthful and you're not. And I think that's quite an important aspect. So I'm glad we could see that working out. And then the last point I just want to say is it's been amazing for me to also see the team getting it. I mean, we've got not a huge team, but a fairly capable team right now. And when we started making the changes to be more product focused, when we started making the changes around the brand archetype, I got these quizzical looks initially because I've been accused of always making changes. And I would like to think that I make these changes for the better, but it is changes. And some people are not as comfortable with, making changes more regularly. I am, and unfortunately, I've been in industries where you kind of do have to do that quite consistently in order to see improvement. But making these changes and then seeing people get it, and the one that shares is kind of my right-hand person most of the time, and to see some of the things that she's been doing on the social media platforms like Facebook and some of the videos she's been putting out has made me feel really cool, and from the perspective also that she's keeping true to brand. That's really difficult to get and, to get right. And to see her do it in some small way and put out content that's public in the public domain is not trivial. But to see her do it has been amazing. And it just reinforces the journey that we're on right now and what we're doing. So in the next episode, I'm hoping to get quite an interesting guest on. So, you can watch out for that. It's not someone that you would expect, but you'll be pleasantly surprised. And that's all that I have to say for this episode, which is, we covered the idea of having mentorship, having a target in mind, because sometimes it helps you to make that target a reality, having clients rally around you when you're much more authentic and you believe in exactly what you need to do. And they seem to understand that as well. And then lastly, by having the plan in place and knowing what you need to do, having the team ready around you as well. And that's it. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you on the next show. Hey everyone, thanks for listening. As always, stay tuned and we'll speak to you in the next episode.